Hi, hello, so I'm back with another reaction video. I'm going to be reacting to the final part of Murder in the Six, Toronto's Deadly Gang War. I've already reacted to the first half, so I will link it up here. And I will also put it at the end of the video as well. I want to say thank you for everybody commenting on the last video and messaging me and letting me know things I needed to know, or linking other videos that I could check out as well that are kind of similar to this or to do with the people that are in this video. Jump over to my Instagram as well, follow me over there. I will always keep you in the loop when I'm dropping new reaction videos just like this. And yes, I'm gonna jump into it because there is quite a bit left, so let's get the ball rolling. Anyways guys, thank you for watching and I'm gonna jump straight into it.
Pretty much the same day that Presser was arrested for that kidnapping charge, Sislak, aka LV from Rexdale, is murdered. He was shot along with 3 other people who survived during a shootout at a townhouse complex in the early hours of the morning. And the timing of Sislak's death was incredibly eerie. He was killed only days after releasing his biggest song, Realist in the Six, which came with a music video that had numerous shots where Sislak disrespected his ops, including a scene where him and a shopkeeper throw gang signs resembling a 3L upside down, signifying that they are 3L killers, which, if you remember, 3L is another name for the gangs coming out of Jane and Finch. And not only that, but one of the very last posts that he made on social media was an ominous image, still circulating on Reddit today, saying that even shooters get shot. And according to the internet, he was really about it. And when his death made its way to the media, after being identified, it was revealed that Sislak was actually charged in a double murder years before his death. These were the killings of Elliot T-Bone Hughes and Garth Nicholas Palmer, which Sislak never went to trial for, eventually having one charge discharged by a judge in September 2010 and another withdrawn in October 2011, with Sislak in the end copping to a guilty plea of aggravated assault, only getting a 2-year sentence, even going on to rap about beating 2 bodies on his song What You Know About Me.
She man called a body, I beat.
Now, a lot of the ops have gone on to suggest that Sislak only beat those charged because he snitched, with Presser suggesting in his song Attachments that there might be a reason that the ops don't post tributes to Sislak on their Instagrams. Thing is though, if you go and look at the court documents for that case, there's no suggestion that Sislak made a statement, and frankly, if you look at the details of this case, the crime scene was such a mess, it's no surprise that there wasn't really much evidence to go on when it came to Sislak's involvement. So look, I don't know about the snitching allegations, but what I do know is Sislak seemed like a pretty real dude, and if the internet's to be believed, he was definitely a feared member. This is probably why you hear the likes of Presser and Top 5 dissing him so regularly, and even going further in what's probably one of the most creative gangland diss methods I've ever seen, as Presser has been seen numerous times rocking a Louis Vuitton belt upside down, because another nickname for Sislak was also LV, and wearing the LV upside down is like a secret message signifying that LV got dropped, or that guys that are doing this are LVK, LV killers. And this is a trend that other up-top rappers will adopt, like Houdini also spotted wearing the upside-down Louis. I mean, you've almost got to give these guys points for creativity. But at the end of the day, the reality of this situation is this is just yet another young man from a tough environment losing his life before he really had a chance to begin it. But if you think that was bad, in the years that followed, the streets of Toronto would truly become a bloodbath. As in February 2017, news emerged telling of internal cleansing going on within the Regent Park-based gangs, with the war being described as an internal feud between the Halal Gang and Sick Thugs members, both from Regent Park. Now, I can't really vouch for how much violence in the streets is truly related to the music or the musicians that we've discussed in this video, but in 2016, a lot of young men and aspiring rappers from these areas would lose their lives in the most tragic circumstances. A deadly back and forth begun on the 23rd of March 2016, when an up-and-coming Toronto rapper named C-Sick, real name Sion Carrington, is murdered.
This was the scene last night of the city's latest homicide, where a 29-year-old man was shot dead. City News has confirmed the victim to be Sion Carrington, seen here in this exclusive video from City News in June 2015.
Messages on the wall, candles on the ground in this alley on Carlaw near Dundas, where police found the body of 29-year-old Sion Carrington last Wednesday. He died later in hospital.
The way this has transpired, it leads us to believe that it was a targeted shooting.
After his usual Wednesday duties teaching kids basketball at the Regent Park Community Center, they say he was on his way to a recording studio at the other end of the alley. Investigators say Carrington and a friend were ambushed after getting out of a cab. The friend got away. Carrington was shot multiple times from behind.
Then, immediately following the funeral of C-Sick, another man is murdered. He went by Santana, real name Julian Weeks.
Julian was found by 51 division officers lying on the ground clinging to life in a large pool of blood in the parking lot of the Shell gas station located at Parliament Street and Richmond Street. Due to the large amount of blood that was present, officers began searching the area and found trails of blood that led back to the Queen Street East area in front of 362 Queen Street East. Julian was attending a memorial celebration at Annie's Bar for his friend Sion Carrington. Sion was murdered on March the 23rd in the area of Carlaw and Queen in Toronto, much in the same way that Julian was, by a coward carrying a gun.
Now, the cops eventually identified a guy named Tyke, real name Michael Teddy Gibson, as the shooter.
Okay.
He was another rapper from Regent Park that had had some early success as part of the duo Turk and Tyke. So he went on the run and was caught a year later in Aruba after allegedly catching another body there. Then, a few months later, another aspiring rapper from Regent Park named Ruck, real name Marcus Gibson, is shot dead at a housing complex near Monroe Street and Dundas Street East, with cops later revealing that Ruck had previously been charged along with C-Sick in a famous Toronto murder case. This was a crazy 2014 shootout at the Garden Chinese restaurant. This was the apparent result of a chain snatching gone wrong that was even caught on video. As two groups of men scuffle in the hallway of the restaurant, guns are drawn and a chain is taken. Now, I probably can't show you that whole video on YouTube, but trust me, it gets heated. Anywho, after returning to their tables, the robbed party tried to confront the robbers, at which point guns were drawn once again, but this time they were used, leaving a man shot dead in a packed restaurant with around 60 to 80 witnesses present. Both Ruck and C-Sick were charged in that case, but beat the case. But within 2 years, they'd both been murdered. Basically, this was not a safe time to be a gangster in the streets of Toronto. The slightest confrontation could lead to tragedy, make a wrong move, and it could be your own gang shooting you next, which once again drives home just how much of a dead end the streets are, and just how important it would be for some of these up-and-coming rappers to use music to escape these horrible circumstances.
Yeah. I always think that they should use their rappers that are coming up and getting popular and doing well. I always think they should use that as a good way to get out, which I think a lot of them do, but I think old decisions and things like that can catch up to him, or just that other people just don't forget and, want to retaliate. In
fact, there's one person in this story who was so close to escaping the hood through music before suffering some of the most tragic circumstances possible. And that person's name is Robin Banks.
Robin Banks.
As Presser toured around Europe on bail with Drake, and the gangs in Regent Park were shooting each other in internal wars, Robin Banks was making progress with his music career and the Up Top Records movement. His earlier songs like Was Gang and Up Next were becoming local classics. His catchphrase TT or Two Turnt was becoming a catchphrase in the city. Tracks like Priceless with FB were racking up views, and rumours were swirling that Meek Mill was even gearing up to sign Robin Banks after he shared the song Priceless to his IG page. But behind the scenes, not everything was sweet. In January 2017, somebody was shot dead after a Robin Banks music video shoot. Furthermore, it was alleged that around this time, Robert Banks had apparently owed a $10,000 debt to somebody in the city, with posts circulating that suggested that he had been hounding Robin Banks on social media for the money for weeks. Whether or not any of these things have anything to do with what happened next, I can't be 100% sure of, but the fact of the matter is, on the 4th of April 2017, things finally caught up to Robin Banks when he was on a night out at the Cameo Hookah Lounge. Banks was caught off guard when somebody opened fire, hitting 3 people, including Robin Banks, who was shot 14 times, getting 1 bullet in the neck and 9 bullets in his legs.
Gunfire breaking out.
What? In his legs?
Getting 1 bullet in the neck and 9 bullets in his legs.
Gunfire breaking out in front of a packed nightclub. The chaotic scene left 3 people shot, sending a man in his 20s to hospital with life-threatening injuries. 2 others, a man and a woman, rushed to hospital with serious injuries. Police are investigating whether they were targeted or just victims of being in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Initially, Banks was reported dead, but in reality, he had been rushed to hospital in critical condition. Eventually, news spread that he had survived the shooting and was fighting for his life in hospital. Meek Mill sent prayers on Twitter, and the Toronto rap scene waited on the edge of its seat to find out what happened. Ultimately, Robin Banks escaped with his life, but was left paralysed, confined to a wheelchair. Naturally, the ops tastelessly made fun of this fact, but in reality, Robin Banks' injuries were no joke. Apparently, he was hurt so bad that his family had to take to the crowdfunding website You Caring to raise a whopping $300,000 to cover his medical expenses. Tragic case, but at the very least, Robin Banks survived with his life intact, where the person responsible actually faced justice. Now, once again, an image has been circulated online that supposedly shows that loan shark that was after Robin Banks, saying, "God got them before turning their page private, but it's unclear whether or not this is real or belongs to the real suspects in the case. But what we do know to be true is that immediately following the shooting, the police actually pulled over and detained 2 suspects for questioning, but they didn't have any reason to keep them, and they just had to let them go. Eventually realizing their mistake, the cops would put out a warrant for 2 people for attempted murder charges, Rashawn Anderson and Nicholas Roden, with the cops also identifying their black Honda Accord and its license plate, I assume from when they pulled them over. Rashawn Anderson turned himself into the police soon after the warrant was announced, while Roden remained on the run for a couple of months, eventually being arrested in July 2017 when he was caught with a 9mm pistol, an extended clip, and drugs.
Toronto police have arrested the second suspect in connection with the North York shooting. The shooting happened in the parking lot of the Cameo Lounge near Steeles and Weston on April 3rd.
The duo responsible for paralysing Robin Banks were eventually held to account for their crimes a whopping 3 years later. And in August 2020, Nicholas Roden was given a life sentence, with his younger accomplice, Rashawn Anderson, being given 16 years, both for attempted murder, with the prosecution saying both deserve to get life because the moral standing of the acts that they carried out on Robin Banks might as well have been murder. But fortunately, Robin Banks didn't let his paralysis completely crush his spirit, and once he recovered, he would continue rapping and releasing music from his chair, dropping the comeback song That's a No-Go, which featured news audio about his shooting, then going on to drop other big tracks like I'm All That and his mixtape Still Here, and continuing to push the Up Top movement as far as he could, overseeing the release of the Up Top Northside J mixtape, and generally just being an inspiring figure in the Toronto rap scene to this day, proving that you can survive the worst of the worst and still stay strong and not let it get in the way of building a fulfilling life, achieving your creative goals and chasing fulfillment. So for that, Robin Banks is a true inspiration for surviving what he went through and still continuing to pioneer and inspire the next generation of Toronto rappers. Big salute to Robin Banks for that.
Wow.
After the paralysis of Robin Banks, in 2017, there was no shortage of tragedies on the streets of Toronto. Another up-and-coming artist from Rexdale named Young Dubs was also picking up steam in the rap game. He got started early, dropping his first track, The Real, all the way back in 2012, slowly working his way up the Toronto rap scene, even eventually finding his way into the OVO circle, working with Drake's legendary producer 40, and recording a track called Gang at his studio. However, Dubs would never get to see that song be released, because before it came out on the 12th of May 2017, he would tragically lose his life after being shot in the head at a Brampton house.
Oh my goodness.
Our residents heard several gunshots around 10:30 last night. Police rushed here. They found a 28-year-old man with no vital signs. I'm told he was shot in the head and actually died slumped up against the doorway of one of the units. Another male with gunshot wounds showed up at a local hospital a few minutes later, and he's been transported to a trauma center in Toronto.
Fans on the internet mourned the lost potential of Young Dubs after his killing, but of course the ops were less kind. YG and Houdini would diss him on their song Auntie, saying they put dubs in their baccy or tobacco, so saying they smoke him. But as the two opposing sides of Toronto's war would send shots at each other, their most feared op would prepare to strike. And I'm not talking about the gangs, I'm talking about the cops. Because in June 2017, Toronto cops hammered the Driftwood Crip gangs in response to all of the activity in the streets, launching Project Chronic, an enormous operation that apparently involved 800 officers from 2 police forces across Ontario.
We allege that the Driftwood Crips are a criminal organization comprised of a number of different cells operating throughout Ontario and Western Canada. They have been involved in occurrences connected to homicides, shootings, kidnappings, firearms, and drug trafficking. In total, there will be approximately 120 accused and over 660 charges related to criminal organization offenses, attempted murder, trafficking firearms, kidnapping conspiracies, firearms possession, robbery and drug trafficking, and the drugs included are marijuana, heroin, meth, cocaine, and fentanyl.
Yes, the cops truly came down on Driftwood, seizing 200 bullets, 135 grams of weed, 133 fentanyl pills, 18 guns including 2 sawn-off shotties, and $177,000 in cash. The Driftwood Crips were really out here using all the cheats: unlimited guns, unlimited ammo, bonus cash. Hell, I'm surprised they didn't even spawn a couple of comets and have the Fed seize those too. Over 660 charges for around 120 people were handed out in this case, with the arrest being linked to crimes as serious as attempted murder, kidnapping conspiracy, firearms trafficking, and drug trafficking. And while a lot of G's and joints were taken off the streets as part of this operation, unfortunately it wouldn't be enough to stop the violence in the streets. And the next loss would be the incident that turned Top 5 from jungle into a demon. His brother, that went by the name of Foolish, real name Saeed Ali, would be shot in the parking lot of a drugstore on July the 31st, 2017, only a few minutes away from him and Top 5's hood of Lawrence Heights.
This whole area littered with shell casings, including this blue car right across the street here. So there may have been a chase, there may have been some kind of altercation between the victim and his attacker or attackers. Police cannot confirm yet. They do say, though, they believe that Mr. Ali and his attacker or attackers exchanged some words.
Foolish would later succumb to his gunshot wound and passed away. Foolish seemed like a real happy-go-lucky guy on social media, and it's unclear whether or not he was really in the streets like that, or whether that bullet was meant for Top 5 himself. But regardless of why it happened, the loss of Foolish affected Top 5 massively. He would go forward from this incident with a chip on his shoulder and a score to settle, eventually becoming what he would describe as the biggest demon in the city. But before we get to that, let's turn the page to 2018. Another tragic year for Toronto drill, as one of the biggest and most promising names in the scene would lose their life. Before Smoke Dogg was killed, 2018 had already been a wild year for the opposing Driftwood rappers. Back in June 2016, YG was implicated in an attempted murder caught on camera where the victim was allegedly left paralyzed. Another clip that's probably too shocking to show you on YouTube. After being named as a suspect in this case by the police who released the video of the shooting to the public, YG would go on the run, evading authorities for around 2 years, with the Toronto police punching the air, desperate to find their suspect. But YG would eventually be caught in a dramatic scene at the start of 2018, getting arrested as part of a firearms-related investigation in Columbus, Ohio, and being sent back to Canada in the custody of 2 Toronto detectives who paraded him through the airport on camera.
Welcome home.
But in a shocking turn of events, YG would beat his attempted murder case within 5 months, announcing in November the feeling of beating those charges being better than sex, as well as a post-tagging presser saying that he gave $50K to his lawyer, with YG even checking in with DJ Academics, later retelling the entire story like it was nothing.
I've been in America hiding from the fucking police in fucking Canada for 2 years. They caught me over there for shooting. They sent me back to Toronto. I'm so, ever since I came out, I've been blowing. I don't know how you know.
Anywho, while Driftwood was celebrating the return home of YG, down in Regent, Smoke Dogg would be celebrating his success. After a long come up off the back of his hit song Trap House, Smoke Dogg was on the way to the top. Fully tapped in with Drake's OVO crew after touring with them, Smoke Dogg was working on his highly anticipated debut album, Struggle Before Glory, but his success had been soured by beef in the streets. Particularly a feud he'd been having with another set of rappers from the nearby Alexandra Park area, specifically Casper and K Money, who had seemingly snatched Smoke Dogg's chain and going on to wear it in a music video. In retaliation, their house was shot up, and Smoke Dogg had filmed a music video on their block. Casper and K Money actually went to go and slide on Regent Park, shooting into a crowd of people, eventually getting pulled up on by undercover cops who rammed their car, causing them to do the dash. They went on a massive, apparently Zanny-fueled high-speed chase through Toronto, eventually abandoning the whip and running through a construction yard where they were arrested. They caught around 97 charges for this and would eventually plead guilty. Now, both Trap Geek and Hood Chronicles have fire videos about that incident, so go watch those if you want more details about this mad story, but that's not really relevant to what we're talking about today. Because after Smoke Dogg had escaped one pair of beefing shooters that had it out for him, sadly, there were others waiting around the corner. And on June the 30th, 2018, in front of a downtown nightclub called Cube, Smoke Dogg would get into an argument with 21 Neat from Driftwood. At some point, guns were drawn, and 21 Neat ended up killing Smoke Dogg, as well as his manager. Smoke Dogg was shot in the head and left dead on the floor for all to see, with shocking images of him on the ground circulating on social media that once again are far too shocking to show you on YouTube.
One man died on scene. Witnesses say he was shot in the head.
I wouldn't want to see that anyway.
Where he succumbed to his injuries. The third victim remains in hospital.
The man who shot Smoke Dogg 21 Neat, along with a 16-year-old accomplice, fled the scene in a black-tinted SUV and would continue to flee for quite some time, with 21 Neat eventually being captured around a year later in British Columbia, but his 16-year-old accomplice was never found. Anywho, after the shooting went down, the news quickly identified up-and-coming rapper Smoke Dogg as the victim. And again, after the passing of Smoke Dogg, the city would mourn. Some, like Drake, paid tribute to the fallen rapper, The Weeknd posted him on his story, and the current mayor of Toronto, John Tory, even met with Director X, Murder Beats, and Cardinal Official following the murder of Smoke Dogg to try and get a better understanding.
Let me just ask this. Let me know in the comments if Toronto is... if there's like still stuff going on, if you live there, if you know in general. Let me know if Toronto, if stuff like this is still, you know, bad and is still ongoing. Let me know how Toronto is as well. I've never been to Toronto. Yeah, let me know in the comments.
Understanding of the violence that was going on in Toronto's rap community. Smoke Dogg would later be memorialised in the moving short film Remember Me Toronto, made by Mustafa the Poet from the Halal Gang in Regent Park, and featuring interviews with many people from both sides of the city's ongoing feud. With that being put together in response to the fact that 2018 was Toronto's most violent year on record. Now, since Presser and Smoke Dogg had spent time together on Drake's tour, many people thought there might be some respect for him after Smoke Dogg's passing. And for a time, it seemed like there was at least some degree of respect paid to Smoke Dogg while he was alive. But due to the fact that he was murdered by 21 Neat from Driftwood, sides would eventually be chosen, and retaliatory incidents would play out across the city and in the music. And over time, numerous up-top rappers would find themselves dissing Smoke Dogg Dog in their songs. Presser dissed him on Dracula, and YG mocked the incident on the track Heard of Me with Top 5, and both Top 5 and YG were seen laughing about Smoke Dogg's passing in an Instagram live, with Top 5 claiming to have literally seen Smoke Dogg die in person whilst YG was in jail.
I seen the shit on Snapchat, Cuddy. Yo, my nigga! You see that live on that? I see that live! Me and Larry Bird! But yo, big man, I'm trying to tell people I seen the brains in person. I don't know, like, you sitting on stuff, you're in jail, you know?
Now, Mustafa the Poet and the Halal Gang are not usually ones to diss the ops, as they're religious, more focused on positivity and the music.
Okay.
But at some point, Mustafa the Poet got tired of people dissing Smoke Dogg after he passed, and he began to call people out on Snapchat, saying Smoke Dogg is the reason that a lot of these people even have a platform, so they should keep his name out of their mouth. Dissing Presser for talking ill on Smoke Dogg, suggesting that Presser's got a lot of deceased friends to mourn too, mocking his height, and Safe from Halal Gang also went on to share DMs from Presser, suggesting that Presser was a fan. Presser would clap back on Instagram too, mocking Mustafa the Poet, saying that he was a fake Muslim, and even Presser's big brother Boondog would jump in, defending Presser's height. Anyway, the passing of Smoke Dogg was a massive loss for Regent Park, and in many ways it was a loss for Driftwood too, because they would now be facing more danger in the streets, as well as having likely lost 21 Neat to a long jail sentence if convicted of Smoke Dogg's murder. But tragedy wasn't over for the Neat brothers, because around a year and a half after 21 Neat killed Smoke Dogg, his brother 22 Neat, aka 22 Filthy, also caught body in December 2019, allegedly killing his own friend, another rapper on their label named YS, with 22 Filthy fleeing to Alberta, where he was eventually caught, but not by the cops, but the ops, who killed him a day after Christmas, where he was found dead in the middle of a Calgary road after a wild shootout in the middle of the street. So a sad ending for Smoke Dogg and both of the Neat brothers, and at a certain point it just begins to feel like the entire city of Toronto is cursed. And if your name ain't Aubrey Graham, chances are you're going to end up dead or in prison. And from here, the city just continued from tragedy to another tragedy. After the Neat brothers story ended with one dead and another in jail, another brotherly duo on the other side of town found themselves in the same situation. The brother of Young Dubs, who was killed back in 2011, Young Lava, catches a body in May 2019, allegedly playing a role in the murder of Blaine Grindley at a Rexdale townhouse. He would also go on the run to the United States, eventually getting caught in Minnesota with 67 guns after crossing the border. He would eventually plead guilty to those gun charges to the United States cops, likely having to sit and serve the time of whatever sentence he gets for that in the United States before he can even be sent back to Canada to face justice for the alleged murder. Another sad ending to a tragic chain of events. But as the dust settled on the beef between Regent Park and Driftwood, the GGs over in the jungle of Lawrence Heights would have their block hotter than ever, as Top 5 and his GG enforcer Flipper go crazy in the streets, desperate to take the title of Toronto's top demons, really out here trying to give King Von a run for his money.
Okay.
Since the killing of his brother Foolish, Top 5 went from shirt-off Shorty to shoot-out Shorty, and he appeared to be surrounding himself with the most feared shooters that Toronto had to offer, specifically his homie Flipper from Jungle. He's currently accused of the March 19th, 2019 murder of Jerome Bell, who went by the name Murder. Murder was also a rapper in the Toronto scene, known for rapping Shots Up Mafia, and after this alleged killing, it would take Toronto police around a year to catch up with Flipper, during which time, along with fellow GG Top 5, Flipper would make numerous songs with a lot of lyrics referencing the dirt that he was doing in the streets. There was a track, Drill Some More, where Flipper claims that his 30 sent an op to the Lord, saying that the ops might have got one of theirs, but he's gotten 4. He straight up says that he's catching bodies in the Camry, along with more lyrics on the track Drill 6, where he says that he is the Somali catching bodies. But the GGs wouldn't stop there. Only a few months later, another life would be claimed under very familiar circumstances. A teenage driller by the name of Clutch, who was allegedly even the cousin of Top 5, but came from Jungle's op block of Falstaff. Now, Clutch had apparently been clowning the death of Top 5's brother Foolish, who was murdered outside of a Shoppers Mart drugstore. Apparently, Clutch posted since-deleted clips to social media, mocking Foolish with a shopping bag from the store that he was killed outside of. And so, sometime after making these posts, apparently, whilst on the way home from a night playing video games with friends, 16-year-old Clutch was gunned down in a shooting at 30 Falstaff Ave near James Street, with 3 suspects being seen fleeing in a dark Honda.
Everybody in the community clearly came down because we're literally in shock, because he's like the most innocent child. The sweetest kid, funny, he's hilarious, does not cause trouble.
Following the murder of Clutch, his name would become something of a catchphrase to Top 5, who would say that he was smoking Clutch at any opportunity, whether song lyrics, IG lives, or even interviews with DJ Academics and Presser, where Top 5 is clearly just itching to diss Clutch.
Can we smoke on this? Can we smoke?
Of course!
Hey, so we're smoking out the pound then.
Yeah. Just don't smoke. Just don't.
Don't smoke on no ops. Don't the smoke. Just smoke.
I'm smoking on that clutch.
No, man, rest in peace to whoever clutches.
Anyway, like a lot of Toronto mans who catch a body and do the race, Flipper couldn't outrun the cops forever. Around a year after the murder of Murder, Flipper, real name Saeed Mohideen, is arrested for murder on March the 12th, 2020. And then, in a shock turn of events, while in custody, he is charged with another murder for apparently having taken out a reputed Toronto mob boss. Seriously, if the cops are to be believed, Flipper was out here icing made men from the mafia. And of course, after his arrest on 2 bodies, Top 5 was positively beaming with pride over his homie's many deadly crimes.
I hang with demons. Flipper just got caught with 2 bodies. He's gonna beat it, innocent. Flipper. But that was my big dog. They just arrested him for 2 bodies.
What?
But if you thought that was crazy enough, it doesn't end there. Because even after getting taken to jail, Flipper ended up going viral on social media once again after getting his hands on a phone in jail and recording a video with him and all of his homies smoking big gas in the prison wing, a clip that was eventually released on Top 5's Instagram.
It looks like a pre-COVID party.
Oh my God, it's on the news
that
as
video
well.
was taken within the past month here at Toronto South Detention Centre. That video shows several high-profile inmates smoking pot, using contraband technology, and ignoring all COVID precautions. Featured in the video is Toronto rapper Flipper, Saeed Mohideen, who's currently facing 2 murder charges for his alleged role in the March 2019 death of Jerome Bell.
After the death of Smoke Dogg at the hands of 21 Knee, along with the murder of his brother 22 Knee, both sides were mourning a great deal of loss. And sadly, the grief was far from over for the Up Top movement, who would go on to lose yet another brotherly rap duo in very similar circumstances. The Tall Up Twins, who had built a decent reputation in Toronto's rap scene by this point, having dropped their biggest song 456 with Burner Bands and Houdini, would soon find themselves in trouble. In October 2018, Tyreek Noseworthy, aka Double Trouble 4400 of the Tall Up Twins, along with Burner Bands and FB from the Up Top movement, was spotted late in the evening of the 25th, gathering a large number of plants at a marijuana grow facility. Only problem was, that's not their grow facility. They ended up getting confronted by 3 men who owned and operated the licensed grow, with one of those guys getting pistol whipped and eventually all of them being tied up. Now, unfortunately for the robbers, a female associate of the owners hid in a car outside and called the police. When the cops arrived, the thieves did the dash, with one making off in a car and the others running into a nearby cornfield. Thing is, those guys running were absolutely no match for the police's search team, which used dogs on the ground and choppers in the sky to hunt down these grow robbers. By 4 a.m, everyone was in cuffs, including FB, who was even bitten by a police dog, and the cops took the trio.
Listen, let me say this right. I don't know why I would be getting chased by a police dog. I've never got chased by a police dog before. Or any dog. Actually, I'm lying. I have been chased by a dog before, but if there was a police dog chasing me for some reason, you know what? It won't even be chasing me because I'm not running. I'm not about to run from this dog. I'm not. Because I don't want to get bit. I know that it could bite me even if I'm just stood there. I know, but I just don't want to risk getting bit. So you know what? I'm here. My hands are up. Take me. Take me. Because I don't want a chunk getting taken out of my leg by this dog. Okay? I just can't. I just cannot deal with that. No.
FB, who was even bitten by a police dog, and the cops took the trio of rapid robbers away, along with a U-Haul truck full of stolen weed and fully loaded weapons, fitted with laser-sized scopes and a bunch of ski masks. All this would make building a case as easy as Lego for the Toronto cops, with things being made even worse by the fact that when they were in jail, FB and Tyreek went live on Instagram, taunting their capturers and waving around a prison shank for good measure.
Oh my goodness.
Tyreek of the Tall Up Twins ended up getting sentenced to 4 years after pleading guilty, later being bailed and doing the dash, with him currently being wanted for breaching his terms, along with FB, who got a little over 4 years for his involvement in the case. Meanwhile, Burner Bands pled not guilty and is still yet to face trial. However, it wasn't Tyreek of the Tall Up Twins that would suffer the most tragic fate, because only 3 months after one Tall Up Twin was sentenced to 4 years in jail for the grow robbery, his brother Tyrone Noseworthy, aka 4400 from the Tall Up Tool-Up twins would get into a deadly confrontation at a condo party in Lakeshore West. At around 9 p.m. on January the 31st, 2020, two groups at the condo party had an argument in front of everyone, and by 10:30 p.m., two men had opened fire in the unit and outside in the hallway. The scene was pure chaos, and 3 people wound up dead under highly suspicious circumstances. Among the deceased were Jaden Coley, Joshua Gibson Skier, and Tyrone Noseworthy of the Tool-Up twins.
The barrage of bullets began to fly at 10:20 last night, creating a scene of panic that's becoming all too routine in Toronto. Security guards inside the condo helped save one person's life, according to property management. Sadly, 3 young men, aged just 22, 20, and 19, weren't so fortunate.
But the craziest part is the police said initial evidence pointed to a double murder-suicide, with it being suggested that one of the people in the shootout may have killed 2 people and then themselves. But this version of events has been disputed by some, and the only thing that's really clear is that not many people will ever know the true circumstances of what went down in that condo on that day. But regardless, this was a big loss to everybody that repped Up Top. But arguably, their biggest loss was just around the corner, as in May 2020, we would see the tragic loss of rapper Houdini. Aside from Presser, who by 2020 was living it up in LA, far away from the mean streets of Jane and Finch, the next biggest prospect coming out of the area was Houdini. He'd been making major moves in music at this point. His track Late Nights with Burner Bands was doing well, even going gold. He had a big song in November 2018 with Presser called Up and Down. His 2019 mixtape Who I Am landed at 27 on the Canadian independent music charts, and one of his latest releases, a feature on Killy's track VVs, released by 6buzz, the Toronto rap media organisation that had just signed a joint venture deal with Warner Music Canada, had people thinking mainstream recognition was just around the corner for a young Houdini. But the month after this release, tragedy would strike once again. As on May 26, 2020, Houdini is murdered in downtown Toronto in a brazen broad daylight hit. A lot of the incident was caught on camera, with a 6-year-old girl even being caught in the crossfire. According to police, a blue VW Tiguan had waited for Houdini for around 30 to 40 minutes. And when he was spotted, a bunch of guys jumped out the car and went straight for Houdini with guns.
Tributes pouring in today for DeMargio Jenkins, the 21-year-old musician also known as Houdini, was shot and killed at King and Blue Jays Way Tuesday afternoon. Police believe Jenkins and a 15-year-old male who was injured in the shooting were targeted. The third victim, a 27-year-old woman, was an innocent bystander, according to investigators. Police say the suspect vehicle was parked for nearly 40 minutes, waiting for the 2 victims to return to their car.
This was another tragic loss for the city of Toronto. Big rappers tributed him, like Meek Mill and Tory Lanez, and it's said that many shootings went down in the city following this killing as the war in the streets heated up once again. In fact, things got so bad that Houdini's own memorial service got shot up 60 times in a shocking scene also caught on video. Once again, I probably shouldn't show you that on YouTube. But even more crazy than the fact that the ops tried to shoot up Houdini's memorial service is the fact that people on Houdini's side pulled straps and shot back, with the cops eventually closing in and only locking up people on Houdini's side that were shooting back trying to defend themselves. After being hit in the gunfight and caught shooting back whilst on bail and parole, GD from Up Top gets arrested, as well as Burner Bands, who was still on bail for that Grow robbery gone wrong that he hadn't yet gone to trial for. Anywho, the loss of Houdini was devastating for Toronto rappers once again. Yet another case of a massive loss of potential for one of the city's most promising artists. It's hard to think about how much Houdini probably would have achieved by now had he not been taken from us so soon. I'd love to be able to say that after all of these losses in the streets, that the surviving rappers of the Toronto drill scene would begin to move correctly, going forward with a more positive approach to life. But sadly, that's not the case. And when it comes to negativity, disrespect, and disregard for human life, at this point, there is one man whose name stands above all others in Toronto, and that man's name is Top 5.
I was about to say, is it Top 5? Because reacting to this, and also just people asking me to react to another video like this, but it has to do with Top 5, I think, just only his. People just always mention him to me, like in the comments, and ask me to react to him a lot, which I will be reacting to his, I think it's called Top 5 something. It's something to do with him anyway, so keep a lookout for that. But let's jump into Top 5 anyway.
Name stands above all others in Toronto, and that man's name is Top 5. Top 5 had been looking for trouble all 2020, being seen on social media pulling up to the basketball court on the op block of Falstaff, dissing dead ops constantly in songs and on social media, and even putting time limit bounties on ops chains, telling DJ Snoopy on live in front of the whole world to see that he would snatch his chain in 7 days.
Snoopy, my nigga, you came out. Okay, man, everybody watching this. Are you ready to take your chain? I'll give us 7 days to take your chain.
But they do it on Instagram Live as well, which is crazy.
Do it. You want to do this?
People.
7 days. Count Everybody watching this. 7 days, Snoopy's not gonna have his chain. If you agree with me right now.
You sound so sad. You want my chain?
You think we can't do it?
Do you want to wear my chain?
7-day challenge. Snoopy.
Do you want to wear
my mother's life, I will shit on your chain. I'll put on my chain.
Why do you want to read up? Yeah, I know if you sit on bad things.
I will shit on his chain.
Yeah, I know if you sit on bad things, man.
Okay, but agree with me. Do you think I can't take your chain?
Listen, what's this gonna do with me?
Don't say what's this. Do you think I can't take your chain?
You're not gonna take my chain. I'm gonna take it off my neck and give it to you, and then you gotta fix
Snoopy, stop switching it up. Do you think I can't take your chain?
Go answer. You can
answer my question.
You top 5 can't take my chain.
A 7-day challenge. Do you want the 7-day challenge? You sure you got the GTT? It's the 23rd right now. Everybody remember what I told you. Snoopy's chain's gonna go missing just now.
Somebody told me not to wear my chain to the mall today. Luckily I didn't. Someone went and got my pendant, man. They got my brother's pendant.
Yes, Top 5 really did take that chain, as well as Snoopy's Gucci hat, which he tossed onto the highway. That's the kind of timing Top 5 was on. All the while, shootings are going on in the streets, including one where 27 shots were fired, hitting 2 people.
Toronto police say nearly 30 shell casings were found at the scene when they arrived. 2 men were located with gunshot wounds, one in critical condition and the other with leg injuries.
Now, this incident was apparently the shooting of fellow promising Toronto rapper Doovie. He's well known for dissing Houdini in songs, with this shooting coming strangely the same day that he released his banger of a song, Nightmares. Doovie fortunately survived this incident. However, sadly, around a month later, NHS JJ would be murdered. Both Doovie and JJ were from Southside Jane and had been going back and forth with rappers from North Jane and Jungle for quite some time. And following these tragic shootings, Top 5 would gloat even bringing up these incidents on a live stream with DJ Academics, saying some wild shit.
What? JJ just got popped.
They said, ask Top 5 if Doovie, the hottest in the city. Who's Doovie?
He just got shot like last month. That's what I was gonna ask. Yo, Top 5. You don't have to answer it, but the thing that happened with Doovie, was it you, yes or no?
Stop!
Yes, DJ Academics' Toronto street streams are so wild, he's got to step in to make sure nobody cops to any crimes. And that would be pretty hard considering the fact that Top 5 would regularly jump on stream with Academics to lay out all of the
I was literally going to say as well, like, they tweet about it, like, people would tweet and stuff. People go on Instagram Live and say stuff. People say stuff in songs as well. You know, people say a lot of things.
The Top 5 would regularly jump on stream with Academics to lay out all of the street goings on that have been happening in Toronto.
Let me tell you what happened in Toronto. Bugs, you know Bugs, right?
Yeah.
He got a Legos.
Oh,
Right. There's a next rapper named Snoopy. You could go on YouTube. I took his chain. You them all.
You took his chain?
And I told him I'm gonna take it in 14 days online. And I got it on the 9th day. There's like 7 artists in Toronto that all got shot. And like all got Legos. You know what I mean?
Yo, you terrorizing the city.
I'm a fucking demon.
Academics even went as far as to get Top 5 and Doovie on the same stream. And the resulting argument between these two dissing each other's dead homies was chilling.
You're a snitch, kid.
You got a Legos, fam.
You're a snitch. Your bro died off of a Legos. What the fuck?
JJ just got packed.
Doovie,
I'm your snitch.
JJ!
Yo, Doovie, I thought...
Now, all of this beef going on Academics' streams was a big deal.
I don't know.
Academics has pretty much the most influential rap platform in America, hell, the entire world even. And let's not forget the fact that Academics pretty much came up off of reporting Chicago drill street goings on.
Did
and
he?
for the first time, he was showing the world that the streets of Toronto were dangerous and filled with demons too. And these streams with the likes of Top 5, Chromaz, Presser, and other Toronto rap legends did a lot to put faces from Toronto on the map in the USA. However, you can kind of tell from the way that Top 5 got on these streams and would talk about crime so casually that he was perhaps beginning to take that demon shit a little too far. On January the 14th, 2021, he dropped his track 2 Cases, a tribute to his GG bro Flipper, who is still incarcerated on those 2 murder cases, with Top 5 dropping some demonic lyrics, dissing dead ops like Slugger and Clutch. But only 2 weeks after the song 2 Cases dropped, Top 5 would end up catching a case of his own. On the evening of January the 31st, 2021, emergency services were called to Jane Street and Falstaff Avenue after reports of automatic gunfire. And when cops arrived, they found a man inside of a vehicle suffering gunshot wounds, who was subsequently pronounced dead at the scene.
They found this victim at
this scene, suffering multiple gunshot wounds in life-threatening condition, but that victim was pronounced dead here at the scene.
The victim was named as 20-year-old student Hashim Omar Hashi, with the cops claiming that he was just an innocent accounting student with no affiliation to gangs, just in the wrong place at the wrong time. But here's where things get weird. Just a week after that killing, Top 5 out of nowhere posts a news report to his Instagram where he appears to defend his violent lyrics, essentially saying that he only raps about violence for money and that he's not really like that, with the full segment emerging on global news.
Top 5 is part of a thriving Toronto hip-hop scene. It's internationally recognized thanks to artists like Drake, Tory Lanez, and The Weeknd. But this rapper says there's also a stigma related to crime and violence.
To be honest, people see shootings here and they're scared.
He says artists here have become polarizing figures, including himself. Millions of YouTube views, tens of thousands of Instagram followers, but like many Top 5 also has his critics, community members saying his music sends a violent message. He says that's what sells, but it's up to all of them to change that messaging.
Rap less about the violence, because you don't want to eager somebody else to go do some retaliation, like rap less about violence. And we're getting to that, you know what I mean? We're getting into the industry. We're out here, we're trying to make the right records.
Top 5 there, acting very different to how he does on Academics' streams, when he's talking about bodies on bodies that his team beats. And a week later, it became very clear why Top 5 might have wanted to scrub up his image in the media a little bit, as he's arrested for being an accessory to the murder that had happened 2 weeks before. But in a surprising turn of events, they didn't have enough evidence to hold him. And Top 5 was released from custody, later posting a hilarious clip where he claimed to have given his lawyer a GGG train and saying that he's 234K in front of him.
I got my lawyer with me. All out of those. 234K.
Cheers! Always for years. Look at this. Look at that.
I'll tell you what, Top 5 is really going to put his lawyer's kids through college at this rate. Because around 3 months after being released on accessory charges, the police revealed that those charges had been upgraded to full-blown murder in the first degree, with the police naturally being unable to locate Top 5 and warning the public that he is still at large, violent and dangerous. So Top 5 is literally on the run for murder at this point. And you'd think that he would, lay low, keep a low profile, but no. Top 5 continued to post on his IG story, essentially taunting the cops who were desperate to find him and couldn't, going on to post up stories that reference his February Global News segment, saying that his violent lyrics are all cap and he's just trying to sell music for money, as well as him referencing his top lawyer, saying the cops upgraded his charges to murder with no new evidence. Top 5 also went live around the same time on Instagram, dissing Clutch.
Clutch! Clutch! R.I.P. to all the fallen fucking soldiers. You guys miss me, eh? Well, I miss my nigga Clutch. Who's gonna snitch on Top 5? That's a good question. Who's gonna snitch on me? Clutch is born!
Top 5 went live again on the 22nd, defending himself, saying he didn't do shit. All the while, people are piling in the comments saying Toronto police are punching the air right now.
Oh my god, run away, Top 5, run.
Run, baby, run. Run.
They can't catch you.
Like, I ain't do shit. Everybody know I ain't do shit, but it's 144, but I'm still smoking Clutch.
And at a certain point, the mere fact that Top 5 was on the run for murder and still posting to his social media becomes breaking news in and of itself.
Artist has been connecting with fans on social media. There's just one problem. He's also on the run, wanted for murder.
That appears to be Top 5, speaking out on a live streaming Instagram video over the weekend. His viewers tell him he's a fugitive. One asking, isn't Top 5 on the run for a body? The rapper seems to talk back.
The only run I know is the treadmill.
Now, I know what question you're thinking. Surely Top 5 doesn't still go live with DJ Academics whilst he's on the run for murder, right?
Yes, he did, didn't he?
Top 5 still turned up to DJ Academics' live Twitch streams whilst on the run for murder, with Academics seemingly unaware of the magnitude of Top 5's situation or the likelihood that the Fed will be watching and lurking, looking for clues on the whereabouts of Toronto's top demon.
I thought it was just a song, but I heard they just caught you for 2 cases. And he said, bro, I'm gonna beat that. Easy.
They trying to frame me for some shit, nigga.
Are they trying to frame? Oh, no. Oh, man. He on the run. From what? Ain't no running going on? What y'all talking about? Yeah, right. I do need to get a little running. I'm gonna get a little run going on. Ain't nothing wrong with a little running.
At this point, Top 5 was basically on a combined press run and on the run for murder, making headlines again when he went live the following month, this time seeking a sit-down with then Mayor of Toronto, John Tory, saying that he wants to speak to the mayor personally before he speaks to the cops.
I'm telling them, if they want to meet me, tell John Tory reach out. If John Tory reaches out, I'm linking up with Eddie. Yo, you guys want to link up? Call John Tory and tell him I want to have a sit-down for 30 minutes. I want to spit my facts, and he spits his facts. I run Toronto. You goof.
In response to Top 5's offer of a sit-down, Toronto Mayor John Tory released a simple statement saying, "I know the devastation and trauma that murders in our city have caused families and neighbourhoods, and it's very troubling to know that somebody charged with murder has so far not made himself available to the authorities." But Top 5 didn't let what the mayor had to say or that body hanging over his head stop him from pushing
How
his
long did it
career
go on
forward
run
either.
for?
And in August 2021, he would go live once again at a recording studio to assure fans that he's still got time to work on their album whilst he's on the run for a murder.
Okay, we're at 1,000 already. Yo, listen, I want this to make the news tomorrow. Fuck it. You guys want to know where I am? All you blogs, look, Toronto's fucking mine. I'm in the studio working on this fucking album. I caught that nigga slipping, shot him in the back, and when I'm in the staff, I'm off that clutch pad. And when I'm in the E, I'm off that sluggy. Fuck sluggy. Fuck clutch. Nothing to snitch about. And I'll never ever be a snitch. I'm not part of no crimes. Nothing. I'm not with the shits. Everything you guys see is cap. The only thing real is Clutch dead.
And of course, Top 5 goes on to taunt his newest top op once again, Mayor John Tory.
Fuck you. Hey, who the fuck's John Tory? And I still want to have my fucking dinner with you, little like, the fuck, you taking me on this joke? Toronto's fucking mine. Hennessy. John Tory. Henny and pussy when you're around me.
Naturally, all of this brazen behaviour and mayor calling out had Top 5 quite literally going top 5 on Toronto's most wanted list. But it would turn out the Top 5 wasn't just going on the run and going live all of these times just for a laugh. Oh no, all of this sus activity on the internet was actually genuinely part of his promotional plan to push a new song that he released whilst on the run for murder, Movie, featuring YG and Pressa's older brother Boondog, who did 10 years for that YBK conspiracy charge at the start of this story, getting out at the end of 2020, flying straight out to Dubai for a celebratory vacation.
It's not said yet, but let me know in the comments, how long was Top 5 on the run for? I don't know if he's still on the run now. He might say it soon, but yeah, let me know.
And beginning to drop songs under the name Boondog, with tracks like Brick for the Low and True Story both going very hard. But it was Boondog's appearance on Movie with YG and Top 5 that caught the attention of the drill community once again. On the track, Boondog says that he's smoking Sizzlack, as well as saying they're going to murk Doovie and send him to JJ. And of course, Top 5 was all over the song, saying that he smokes Clutch and Slugger. And ladies and gentlemen, I know that you're waiting for the part of the story where I say that Top 5 was captured in a daring raid of some little Toronto suburb that you've never heard of. But that's not the case. This is where the story ends. And Top 5 is still on the run for murder right now. And he's still going live with DJ Academics, talking crud on the...
How long ago was this video? Let's have a nosy. 2 years ago, okay. So this video was 2 years ago. Let me know, is Top 5 at this current moment still on the run? Or has he been caught? Or whatever. Let me know in the comments. What is the update? What is going on?
Ops and pretending he's not out here, literally on the run for murder.
Are you wanted by anybody or you good? You straight or you good?
I'm straight.
You are straight.
And of course, everyone's still in the comments saying the feds are watching. Well, clearly, they're not watching hard enough.
He was just like my favorite Toronto rapper, literally of anyone. He was my favorite, and I just think he was 21 years old. Like, there's no way this should have happened.
Julian was found by 51 division officers lying on the ground, clinging to life in a large pool of blood in the parking lot of the Shell gas station located at Parliament Street and Richmond Street.
Police found the body of 29-year-old Sion Carrington last Wednesday. He died later in hospital.
City News has confirmed the victim to be Sion Carrington, seen here in this exclusive video from City News in June 2015.
Tributes pouring in today for DeMargio Jenkins. The 21-year-old musician, also known as Houdini, was shot and killed at King and Blue Jays Way Tuesday afternoon.
Look, I've said it before and I'll say it again. There really isn't anything cool or glamorous about the gang lifestyle. You might enjoy the songs, the style, the culture, and the lingo that comes out of the roughest, meanest streets in each country around the world. But the reality of life in gangs is nothing but death, pain, loss, injury, and missed opportunities. It hurts to imagine how different things could have been had each side of this feud not lost so many people with so much potential. Smoke Dogg could have been one of the biggest and greatest rappers to ever come out of his city. Houdini's potential was enormous. You could tell from the talent in the songs that he had released that he was clearly going to go far. But when you're tangled in the streets that deep, no amount of talent or toughness will save you. The smartest thing you can do is get as far away as possible from the area that causes you the most danger. Chief Keef had to escape Chicago to stay alive, and it looks like Pressa has gone on on to do the very same thing, moving to LA to chase his dream in music, and frankly at this point he is just simply lucky to still be alive after all of the crazy shit that he has been through and around in his life. Over the course of this story, I came across a great clip on Reddit's Torontology where Mustafa the Poet summed up the scene well.
It doesn't matter what anybody says, none of these niggas are taking W's. It's funny because a lot of these pieces want to be like, who took the bigger W? No one took a W, bro. Everyone took an L. Everyone has, and it's true, it's sad, but yo, everyone has dead, bro. Everyone has in jail. Everyone has niggas that are poor, that you know what I'm saying, that don't know how to provide for themselves, don't know how to provide for their families. And for as long as that's the reality, everyone is at a loss, bro. You know what I'm saying?
That's facts. No one really ever takes a W in the streets, whether it's Chicago, Jacksonville, Toronto, or London. Whenever you make the decision to lean into the streets, rather than into a better lifestyle trying to do good for your people, you're going to end up taking an L eventually. In many ways, the most inspiring and potent story of this whole saga is that of Robin Banks. He was shot and paralyzed as a result of his ties in the streets. But after suffering a fate that many people would consider worse than death, he continued to focus on his passions, making music, putting on his people, releasing projects, running his label, and ultimately inspiring the next generation to do better, focus on music, and avoid the worst possible outcomes that street life can deliver. A lot of people don't have what it takes to go through what Robin Banks went through and continue going forward. So if Robin Banks can pull through and continue to be a positive inspiration to the city, even after going through one of the hardest losses imaginable, then what's the excuse for the next teenager coming out of Driftwood, with their whole body and brain intact, their whole life ahead of them, and an opportunity to do better than the people that came before them? I hope the next generations of guys coming out of the challenging blocks of Toronto don't have to go through what the previous generation had to suffer through to build this amazing music scene from the ground up. It was a long, bloody road to get to this point, and all of the names that you've heard over the course of this story, dead or alive, played their part in building up the Toronto drill scene from nothing. It's because of them that the next generation of young men growing up in the tough areas of Toronto have a shot at making something better of themselves. I just hope that that next generation doesn't blow it. This story meant a lot to me. I hope it meant a lot to you, and thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please consider supporting me on Patreon. As I said at the start, I'm going to be uploading uncut versions of my videos to Patreon only. I'm even going to go back and grab some of my old videos, like the Jacksonville Gang War video. I'm going to put in some clips that I couldn't show you on YouTube, and I'm also going to use some of the music so that you can get better understanding and really take in some of the music and the songs that relate to these stories that they won't let me play on YouTube because of copyright BS, even though it's fair use. I also want to give a big shout out to Hood Chronicles on YouTube and the subreddit Torontology. It's not possible for me to make these videos without people that are passionate about the local scene, documenting the goings on and preserving these stories and assets for the next generation of people that want to learn about them. Without people passionately following the different rap scenes in different cities, it simply wouldn't be possible for me to make these deep dive videos for you. So make sure that you show those guys some love. Thanks for watching. Thank you to the patrons. Peace out.
Peace. I always say it. Trap Law always makes very good docs, very good, you know, videos like this. Very great information. This was very fresh and new for me. Like, I don't really know too much about the Toronto scene, but especially reacting to this, I've learned a lot. Like, I did ask, let me know about top 5. Is top 5 still on the run? Like, what is the update on that? Let me know how Toronto is now as well. Is it still, is it still like this video was explaining and showing? Let me know, like, the update on that as well. Also, like I said, I did react to the first half a few weeks ago, so I will link it at the end of the video as well, so you can check it out. And also check out my playlist where it says documentaries, and I've got like a lot of videos like this, so check them out if you want to watch some documentaries. But yes, like I also mentioned in the video, someone has asked me to react to something to do with top 5. I have forgot what the video is called, but I'll find it. Let me know if you'd like to see that, if you'd like me to check that out. But yeah, like I was saying, I've learned a lot just, you know, reacting to just watching this. I didn't know so much about Toronto gangs and stuff like that, so I learned a lot. Let me know as well, what do you think about this video in the comment section down below, and I'm guessing I'll see you very, very soon in the next video, of course. Bye.